The tranquil village of Takubat in western Niger became the scene of a horrific attack recently. This community, situated within the volatile Tillabéri region, lies perilously close to the borders with Mali and Burkina Faso. Its location places it at the heart of a deeply troubled and increasingly dangerous tri-border area. The assault unfolded as villagers gathered for a baptism ceremony, a moment of celebration tragically turned into one of profound sorrow. Gunmen, arriving on motorbikes, descended upon the unsuspecting community, unleashing a wave of terror and destruction. This brazen act highlights the escalating audacity of armed groups operating in the region. The immediate aftermath revealed a devastating toll. 15 individuals were killed during the ceremony itself, their lives brutally cut short in an instant. As the attackers moved through the village, an additional 7 people were found dead on its outskirts, bringing the total confirmed fatalities to 22. A resident, speaking to Agence France Presse, provided the initial harrowing details of the massacre. While authorities later confirmed that an attack had indeed occurred, they refrained from releasing specific casualty figures. This lack of official transparency often complicates efforts to fully grasp the scale of such tragedies. The silence from official channels regarding the death toll leaves communities in a state of uncertainty and fear. It also raises questions about the capacity or willingness of authorities to openly address the full scope of the violence. The international community must press for greater accountability and transparency in reporting these devastating incidents. This incident is not an isolated event, but rather a stark reminder of the pervasive insecurity plaguing the Tillabéri region. The targeting of civilians during a religious ceremony underscores the indiscriminate nature of the violence. Such acts aim to sow fear and destabilize communities, further eroding trust and social cohesion. The attack on Takubat village serves as a critical alarm bell, demanding immediate and sustained attention from global stakeholders. The human cost of this ongoing conflict is immense, with innocent lives being lost at an alarming rate. Urgent action is required to protect these vulnerable populations. The tragedy in Takubat is unfortunately part of a much larger and deeply disturbing pattern of violence engulfing the Tillabéri region. This area has become a relentless target for various armed groups, transforming it into one of the most dangerous zones in the Sahel. The escalation of hostilities is pushing communities to their breaking point. Just last week, the region witnessed another devastating incident when an ambush claimed the lives of 14 Nigerian soldiers. This attack on security forces demonstrates the sophisticated and deadly capabilities of the armed groups operating there. It highlights the immense challenges faced by those tasked with maintaining peace and order. Earlier in September, the violence continued unabated, with approximately 20 people dying in separate clashes across the region. These recurring incidents paint a grim picture of a region caught in a cycle of brutality and instability. The cumulative effect of these attacks is a humanitarian crisis of staggering proportions. The relentless nature of these assaults has created an environment of pervasive fear and displacement. Civilians are caught between warring factions, often paying the ultimate price for a conflict not of their making. The international community must recognize the systemic nature of this violence and its profound impact on human lives. This escalating violence demands a comprehensive and coordinated response that goes beyond immediate security measures. It requires addressing the root causes of instability, including poverty, marginalization, and governance deficits. Without such an approach, the cycle of violence is likely to continue. The sheer frequency and lethality of these attacks underscore a critical failure to protect civilian populations. The international community has a moral imperative to support efforts that can bring an end to this suffering. Ignoring the plight of Tillabéri risks further destabilizing an already fragile region. In the immediate aftermath of the Takubat attack, no group has officially claimed responsibility for the horrific act. This lack of direct attribution is a common tactic employed by armed factions in the Sahel, often designed to create confusion and evade accountability. However, the patterns of violence offer strong indications. Despite the absence of official claims, intelligence and human rights organizations point to specific actors. Groups linked to al-Qaeda, particularly its regional affiliates, are known to operate extensively in the tri-border area. Their presence contributes significantly to the pervasive insecurity. Similarly, factions aligned with the Islamic State, specifically the Islamic State in the Sahel province, are also highly suspected. These groups are notorious for their brutal tactics and their willingness to target civilian populations. Their ideological motivations often drive extreme violence. The complex web of armed groups in the Sahel makes definitive attribution challenging, but not impossible. These groups often exploit porous borders and weak state presence to establish their strongholds. Their operations are characterized by a disregard for human life and international law. Understanding the perpetrators is crucial for developing effective counterterrorism strategies and protecting civilians. However, the focus must remain on the victims and the urgent need for protection and justice. The international community must support efforts to identify and hold these groups accountable. The ambiguity surrounding responsibility should not deter efforts to address the violence. Instead, it should galvanize a more robust and coordinated response from national and international actors. The suffering of the people in Tillabéri demands clarity and decisive action. Human Rights Watch has been at the forefront of documenting the escalating atrocities in Tillabéri, providing critical insights into the human cost of this conflict. Their investigations have meticulously recorded a series of attacks across the region since March, painting a grim picture of systematic violence. These reports are vital for understanding the true scope of the crisis. HRW's findings implicate fighters from the Islamic State in the Sahel province in many of these documented abuses. Their research provides compelling evidence linking this specific group to widespread human rights violations. This attribution is crucial for targeted interventions and accountability. The documented atrocities are horrifying in their scope and brutality. HRW has confirmed the deaths of over 127 villagers and worshippers in these attacks, a staggering number that underscores the deliberate targeting of civilians and Christians. Beyond the killings, homes have been systematically burned and property extensively looted. Witness accounts collected by HRW offer chilling details that help identify the perpetrators. Survivors often describe attackers whose attire, such as turbans with distinctive red bands, aligns with known characteristics of IS Sahel members. The specific villages targeted also provide clues, often those perceived as uncooperative or disloyal to the armed groups. These eyewitness testimonies are invaluable, providing a human face to the statistics of violence. They underscore the terror experienced by communities caught in the crossfire. Their courage in speaking out must be met with a commitment to justice and protection. Critically, Human Rights Watch has voiced strong criticism regarding the government's response to this escalating crisis. They highlight a disturbing pattern of failure to heed warnings from vulnerable communities. Villagers have repeatedly pleaded for help, only to be met with inadequate or delayed responses. This perceived inaction or inability to protect its citizens has eroded trust between the government and its people. The failure to hold perpetrators accountable further exacerbates the cycle of violence and impunity. It sends a dangerous message that such atrocities can be committed without consequence. Ilaria Alagrozi, a senior Sahel researcher for HRW, has issued a powerful call to action. She emphasizes the urgent need for the government to implement effective measures to deter future atrocities. This includes bolstering security and ensuring a visible state presence in vulnerable areas. Furthermore, Alagrozi stresses the imperative to thoroughly investigate all abuses and bring those responsible to justice. Accountability is not merely a legal principle, it is a fundamental step towards healing and preventing future violence. Without justice, the cycle of impunity will continue to fuel further suffering. The international community must amplify HRW's call and pressure all relevant actors to prioritize civilian protection. This includes providing necessary resources and expertise to support investigations and judicial processes. The victims of these crimes deserve nothing less than full justice. The grim reality of the violence in Tillabéri is starkly illuminated by data from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, or ACLED. This authoritative source provides crucial statistics that underscore the severity and scale of the crisis. Their data is essential for informed decision-making and humanitarian planning. Across Niger, the conflict has claimed an estimated 1,800 lives since October 2024, a devastating figure that continues to climb. This represents a significant loss of human life and a profound impact on national stability. The sheer number of casualties demands urgent attention. Alarmingly, the Tillabéri region alone accounts for a staggering 75% of these casualties. This statistic unequivocally positions Tillabéri as the epicenter of the violence in Niger. It highlights the disproportionate burden of conflict borne by its communities. This concentration of violence in Tillabéri implies a critical and immediate need for increased security measures. The current approaches are clearly insufficient to protect civilians from relentless attacks. A more robust and adaptive security strategy is desperately required. Beyond security, there is an urgent demand for accountability for the atrocities committed. Impunity only emboldens perpetrators and perpetuates the cycle of violence. Justice for victims is paramount for long-term stability and reconciliation. The international community, aid organizations, and human rights groups must recognize the dire situation in Tillabéri. The statistics are not just numbers. They represent lives lost, families shattered, and communities traumatized. A concerted humanitarian response is critically overdue. The ongoing violence threatens to destabilize the entire Sahel region, with far-reaching consequences for global security. Protecting civilians in Tillabéri is not just a humanitarian imperative, it is a strategic necessity. The time for decisive action is now. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this ongoing conflict.